I think we've gotten into this processed food thing, and processed food is almost entirely like if you it's first of all, it's a new human creation.
Yeah.
And it should never be your first choice. Your first choice should be natural foods. Your first choice should be look, apple, steak, all that's normal. You can eat that. That's easy. Your body knows what the fuck to do with that. But you get into like seed oils and all these like really heavily processed seed oils. Like there's real evidence that is a giant part of what's wrong with the health of Americans today is these ultra processed vegetable oils. They're fucking terrible for you.
But it doesn't seem to me like that's a stretch in logic, right?
No.
So for just the American diet in general, for us to look at the traditional food pyramid and say, well, that's bullshit. Ultimately, if grains and processed foods sit at the cornerstone of your entire diet, you're going to have some issues. You can kind of look around. You don't even have to be a rocket surgeon to figure that out, right? It's like, holy shit, obesity is an epidemic in the United States.
Yeah.
We're eating a ton of processed food, and all the guys that I know that are healthy are eating whole foods for the most part. And it's not because you have more discipline or because you have more access or wealth. I know a ton of guys that are not very wealthy that eat whole foods, and they're feeding in certain windows, and they're still in the military, still doing fucking incredibly difficult missions, and they're really healthy. So when I look around, I say, well, okay, if you stick to whole foods and you limit your amount of caloric intake, we're not dealing in a high intellect thought process here. It should be pretty easy, but I think what people want is they want their easy button, right?
Well,
They're
you're
like,
hungry. You see Jack in the Box, you pull in, you get a burger, you're like, oh, now I feel better. But meanwhile, you just force some shit into your system. And your system's got to burn off all this bullshit that you poured in there. But there's even foods that people think are healthy that are not really good for you. Like, for instance, white rice is better than brown rice.
Yes.
Like people think white rice, like, oh, I'll have brown rice. I'm being healthy. I have brown rice.
It's got to be one of the biggest misconceptions out there.
That fucking stuff, there's arsenic in that.
But it's brown.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's
It
brown.
looks like grains.
But this
That's all I eat is white
husk,
rice, yeah.
That shit is terrible for you.
Terrible.
Like there's a reason why Asian cultures for a long time have been getting rid of that outside, that husk.
God, the Japanese got it right with food, I'm telling you. Sushi, white rice, seaweed. Just all day. Favorite.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of countries that figured it out. We're just not one of them. We're like ultra processed seed oils, sugar, corn syrup, preservatives, fucking gallons of preservatives, glyphosate on all our plants. Yeah. There's also evidence that like animals, and I've been getting into this lately, animals that eat these ultra processed foods, then you eat them. Like animals that eat like ultra processed corn, and then you eat that animal. Like you're getting some of the bullshit from the corn and some of the bullshit from that. All these seed oil acids, you're getting these things in your body too.
But that makes sense to me.
It does.
Right? It makes complete sense to me when we look at what they're eating and then you're eating them.
For sure.
Like there's really not a direct, or you're not stretching and connecting a lot of complex thought there, in the sense of when people are trying to sell me on the idea like, no, it's great, don't worry about it. It's like, no, man, like those chickens are eating arsenic and they're packed in, right on top of each other, shitting on each other everywhere. Like I'd rather have a free range egg. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have free-range chicken. It's no offense to however you want to eat, but it's just a preference of eating. It's pretty easy. I think that the argument comes from maybe corporate impact in marketing, where Americans will consume it without thinking and go, well, it's good because Jack in the Box told me that it's organic.
Well, I think if there's any one thing in this country where there is a massive lack of understanding in terms of like the way people perceive
If you don't,
what's good and what's bad, it'll start fucking with you.
Because
that's one of the reasons why I got really into tallow and really started eating a lot of bacon and things like that.
Why do you think there's such like a national misconception that fat's bad for your body? Because I hear that from a lot of people, like, I don't want to eat it, it's fat.
Well, they were told that for the longest time. Well, first of all, there's real evidence that sugar and these companies that made sugar paid scientists to fuck with data, to put heart disease and all these problems that people are having with clogged arteries, to push that off on saturated fat,
Right.
and to take that away from sugar.
Right.
And it's sugar. Sugar is terrible for you. Sugar in that
terrible.
form is so unnatural.
Right.
Right.
Fat in the form of meat is very natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's what human beings have been eating since the beginning of time.
Yeah,
It's normal.
monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, saturated fats, all pretty good for you. Just like stay away from trans fat. It's probably,
Well,
but
unsaturated fats that come from vegetable oils, like I think it's called linoleic acid, is fucking terrible for you.
Really?
Not only is it terrible for you, there's real evidence that it makes you hungry. That like you're eating it and there's no nutrients in it, so your body gets hungrier. Look, throughout human history, there's never been a time until recently where people got oils directly from plants in large quantities like
Right.
that. You know, if you got oil from plants, it was like oil from avocados, like natural, or you got your oil from, you know, beef fat or chicken fat or things that's natural for human beings.
Right.
These saturated fats that are natural, your body knows what to do with them. Your body doesn't know what the fuck to do with canola oil. You know?
What is it? Your body's like, what the fuck is
Right,
this?
your body gets a hold of like some raw honey. Your body knows exactly what to do with it. But your body gets a hold of like fucking corn syrup and that,
Right.
that kind of shit. It's like, what is this? There's this weird
It just doesn't make
thing
sense
going
to your
on
body
where
where people want to say it's not your fault. And it isn't your fault. I mean, if you believe in determinism, if you believe in the impact of the people around you and the environment that you're in, which is most certainly real, the impact of your parents, the impact of modeling, you're modeling after other people's bad decision making, that's all real. That's 100% real. But to say that all obesity is just genetic is bonkers. That's a bonkers thing to say, and it discredits all these people that we know that were obese, that without surgery lost all that weight and looked great. Like Ethan Suplee, perfect example. There was a guy that was at one point in time like 500 plus pounds, right? How big was Ethan was he at his biggest? But anyway, Jamie will find out. Documented all of it, did it publicly because he was a fucking star. He's a famous actor. Lost all the weight, now looks great, and did it through exercise and discipline, and even like was really open about the fact that he gained a lot of it back a couple times. He went from 550 to 255. He did that. He did that himself. I mean, he did it, and he documented it, and he had to go through surgery to get the skin removed so that his, he wasn't like a flying squirrel. But he did it. And to say that it's all genetic, like, no, he had the same genes. Like, this is the same guy. It's not.
And it's also not inspiring.
Yes.
So like to say that it's, but that's the tension. If you say it's all genetic or it's significantly genetic, then you're encouraging people to be more accepting of the challenges of other people's lives. Like your life might be, everybody's walking a hard road is basically the philosophical thing. That you don't, just because it's easy for you to exercise doesn't mean it's easy for others to exercise.
Sort of. But aren't they also saying you don't even have to walk that road because it's not going to help
yeah,
you?
Exactly. So that's a very poor statement of that. It's a trade-off. I mean, it's a different philosophy. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
It's a really inspiring, powerful, empowering philosophy. But it's like, yeah, well, sometimes it's harder.
You
than
can't.
others.
You can't say that because different people have different. Some people don't even have fucking shoes. Like the idea of pull yourself up by your bootstraps is stupid. And I did it. Why didn't you? No, you did it with your life. The idea that your life, because it was difficult, is exactly the same as somebody else's life, which may be more difficult or have insurmountable obstacles that are in the way. There's also like different temperaments, different mental fortitude that people are just, for whatever reason, from the womb have. Some people are just determined from the time they're really young, and some people are just not. Some people are discouraged easily, and some people are not. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
But to say that there's no way is crazy. To say there's no way is like, that's irresponsible. And it's also like to say that and just put it on 60 Minutes. Hey guys, that's not true. And you can talk to a lot of people that have lost weight and they'll tell you it's not true. It doesn't mean that the people who are obese didn't get a really bad hand genetically, a really bad hand in terms of the environment they grew up with. Yeah, they got dealt a bad hand, no doubt. It's not the same as someone who grows up in a house where everybody's skinny and the fucking whole family runs. Like, no, it's not going to be the same. Someone who's eating organic and the whole family like does a lot of exercise and does stuff together. Yeah, they're going to be thinner. Yeah. But
It's like, you can't lie. You can't lie, and you can't be you can't expect me to think that you're really an expert when you say things like that.
Yeah, but you also can't criticize Bill Gates by saying he has a soft body. Of
course you can.
Of course, you're being a comedian, but
he does. And if he's talking about health, hey, buddy, get your house in order first. Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of incredible doctors that don't have their house in order.
That's true. But if you're giving health advice, one of the core components to health is your metabolic health. Your overall metabolic
Pull
health.
up this story. Right out of the gate, they're talking about using the drug, that semaglutide stuff we've been
no.
talking about.
Is that what they're doing? So this is like an ad for semaglutide?
I'm not saying that, but that's what it seems like.
Oh my
There's even like the whole thing
God.
about the shortages of it.
Oh no.
So
But I think Huberman was discussing this. He might have been discussing this with Peter Attia, and they were discussing that semaglutide doesn't just make you lose fat, but also makes you lose muscle in many cases. And that's probably because you're not taking in enough food, right? Because what it's doing is I'm just guessing. There might be some other mechanisms involved, obviously. But if you're like full quicker, which is the idea behind this stuff, it's almost like you're taking an injection that does the same thing as like a belly band. If you're not eating enough food and you're losing fat that quickly, you might be losing muscle too. Like, because when people go on like binge diets, they starve themselves, they lose muscle.
Let's
Like,
boo
when
the
guys
mean
lose,
man who told
yeah.
the truth. That's not brave. First of all, my point was that you can't solve healthcare unless you ask the people to participate in that. That was one. And also that we've gone to this place where we're proud of it. We're proud of being unhealthy. Weight Watchers had to take the name Weight and Watchers out of their title.
It's WW now.
It's like, what? Being fat isn't bad. What's bad is someone pointing out that fat is bad. But, I read the statistic in that editorial. 40,000 people a month die from obesity. That's a crazy number. That is a crazy number. We have to somehow reverse this idea that we have in this country, not just about obesity, but about a lot of things, where I'm perfect the way I am. I am just perfect the way I am. And if you say different, you're a very bad person. That's not a good place to be.
It's not healthy for anybody. It's you're protecting people's emotions, but shielding them from a possible moment that might make them realize that they are eating themselves to death.
Right. Look, I said it also in the piece. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. That's fine. Whatever you think is beautiful, that's your deal. But health is science.
Yeah.
That's science. And when we get apoplectic, when there's 50 deaths from shootings or something a month, yeah, it's very bad, and we should be serious about that problem. But 50 versus 40,000 every month? And that's just what they're counting from the big ones, cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. There's literally nothing about your health that is improved by being overweight. So, I said we shouldn't taunt people, but, compare it to anything else. I also owned up to the fact that I used to drink too much and I smoked, but I didn't defend it. When someone said, you went kind of hard last night with the drinking, I didn't say, how dare you drunk shame me?
Well, the weird thing about
you're
Corden,
right, I did.
The weird thing about Corden too is he's not that fat. Like, he could fix that in a couple of months. That's not that hard.
No, he took it was opportunistic.
Yes,
and
I felt
I'm
like that
saying
too. Yeah.
he literally lost an opportunity to save lives, because as someone who does struggle with weight, he could have taken the opposite approach and said, Bill makes a really good point. And we should look at how we are dealing with this. I noticed Jillian Michaels, the fitness expert.
She took a lot of shit for Lizzo. Yeah.
And, if you want to be whatever weight you want to be, that's fine. But it's wrong to shame a fitness expert for saying this isn't healthy.
Well, it gets even
She
crazier.
said it's not going to be that amazing when she gets diabetes.
Yeah, and people went, diabetes has nothing to do with weight.
Diabetes has everything to do with it.
For sure it does.
Also, they lie. They say things like, "Well, it's the fat gene." It's there's not. It's not that. Or here's another one. And look, this is valid. It's valid that in this country, it is a lot harder to eat right if you're poor.
Yes.
And we should totally address that.
Yes.
I doubt if it's on any candidate's top 10 list, but the way the food situation and subsidies are done in this country is horrible. But given that, let's not just throw up our hands and say we're the can't-do country. And because it's harder, let's not even try. Yes, it is harder to eat right on a budget. But I'll tell you something you never need to have with your food, soda, which is a large part of it, okay?
Huge.
And you'll save money. You
Yeah.
don't have to have soda. You don't have to have a Snickers bar. A banana is 19 cents. So it's not impossible.
Adele got shit recently because she got
Yes.
skinny. Because she got healthier.
That was also a part of my thing, was fit shaming, not fat shaming.
yeah.
People go, eat something. Eat something? I'm fine. What? So you can feel better about your weight problem. I should eat and get fat too.
Well, when heavy people have a fan or have someone that they're a fan of that's also heavy, like James Corden, like, so he's heavy, he's got people in the audience that love him and they love him standing up for other heavy people. Yeah, we're fine, he's one of us, we're fine. I think they felt like that with Adele. That Adele was this fantastic singer, super talented, extremely popular, and overweight. Like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like Adele. Everyone's fine.
It wasn't-
But then she loses weight. Like, you feel like she's betraying you because one of the reasons why I liked you is because you're fat. Now you're not fat anymore.
It wasn't that long ago that we were applauding people when they lost weight.
Yeah.